Okay, today's video, I'm going to be setting up a full timing on an N20 BMW engine, model years and models. I'm going to put in the description. This happens to be a 2013 X3 2.0 N20 engine. N55 is kind of similar. And you're going to need some special tools. I'll put those in a link too. You're going to need cam holding tools, top dead center tool, and the counterbalance shaft tool to set this up. Obviously this is on the stand, but the same procedure if you're doing it in the car. Obviously it's going to be harder, but it's the same procedure. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to do is put the engine in top dead center. Okay, now top dead center on this car, you're gonna have to go underneath, and let me just see if I have it here. Okay, you're gonna have to go underneath the car on the passenger side, and you're gonna see a hole right here that's gonna have, it should have a plastic pin like this sticking out of it. You pull that pin out, that's gonna be your top dead center hole for this tool. This tool slides in here, backwards. Okay, and now I'll show you what you're doing. You're not going to see this obviously inside the car, but you get the idea. In other words, if you know what you're doing, you know how to fix it. If you don't know what you're doing and you're just going by a book and you have no clue of what you're doing, that's not the way to do things, okay? So now it's gonna go. Once you're pretty much at top dead center, however you'll do it, this pin is gonna slide in like that, okay? And it locks it in. And you're gonna keep that pin there. Now that pin is only for top dead center. You're gonna have to take off the crank bolt, which has extreme torque. You do not use only that, because that's only for top dead center. That's not to hold the engine or the crankshaft. You're gonna need another special tool that goes underneath in the bell housing. If you're doing it in the car, which you probably would be, it's gonna have a tool that kind of looks like this, okay? And that's gonna go, let me show you. Okay. You see the bell housing? It's gonna go in there. From underneath, it's gonna just stay in there, and it's gonna lock. It's gonna lock under here, okay? And that's what you're gonna have to do too. Once you have it at top dead center, you're not gonna remove this pin, all right, until you're done with the whole timing procedure. And you keep that other crank holding tool, this one, okay? This one, you keep that in there too for the whole duration. Okay, so now that we're at top dead center, okay, see this is the installation, not the removal, because I didn't do a removal video. But the first thing you're going to want to do once you get this far and you have your timing cover, valve cover off, is you're going to want to take that bolt out before you go any further, because that bolt has a lot of torque on it, has about 600-700 pounds of torque, and you're not going to be able to take it off with an impact gun unless you have, you know, a 3/4 inch or half or full inch. All right, so you're going to have to lock the crank first, okay? And once you lock the crank, you take off that bolt. I'll show you where that bolt is. It's over here. This is the bolt you're going to be taking off. It has a lot of fine threads, and that's what creates a lot of torque on it. Okay? So, I don't have a removal video. This is an installation video. So, I was just making that note, just in case you guys decide to do it. You know, that's how you're going to have to do that. And once you do that, everything else you're going to, you know, have to probably follow somebody else's video. I don't have one on that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to lock the oil pump. oil pump housing counterbalance. Okay, we're gonna lock that for doing the timing setup. Okay, after you take the oil pan off, you're gonna have to align the counterbalance in this oil pump housing. You're gonna take off, first thing you gotta take off is the oil pan pickup. 10 millimeter screw comes right out, has a little O-ring right there. Okay, and now this is where the screw was. Now there's gonna be a little rubber plug here. Let me show you what that plug is. I already took it out. It's right here. It's just a little plug, and it should be in there in your car. All right, you take that plug out and do not discard this plug. If anything, if you wanted to get a new one, if it's too loose, you don't want that plug missing, because what it'll do, it'll aerate the oil, and you'll have air in the oil, and that's not a good thing to do. Okay, that little plug is a very serious thing. When you take it out, some people just leave it out, and that's not good. That's not how you do it. Okay, so now once you get the plug out, you're gonna look in the hole. I'm gonna turn it. You see it turning? Let me see if I can get a little more light. You turn it. Okay. Until you see the hole. Let me. Maybe that's better that way. You see that little hole right there? That little divot? That's where it goes. So what you do, you take the tool, you put it in that hole. Okay, and you make sure, see, it's locked in. Let me show you. You see how it's locked in? It's right in the hole. And now you take the other tool, which is just a screw, and basically you just screw it in here and make it nice and tight. And I'll show you what we do next. Okay, see, locked in, and you can even hear it. See, very, very little play. That's where you want that. Make sure, again, your top dead center pin is in there. And the next thing you're gonna do is you wanna get this cartridge. It's gonna have a new gear, new chain. All right, you just insert it, just like this. And this piece, the tensioner, all right, it just comes out. I'll show you. Comes out, and see right there, and then it'll just go in. So when you're putting it in, you just pop it in like this. You turn it. You turn it, and you want to make sure it just clips in here, like that, and make sure that's in there like that. You see? It's like a little keyway. Okay, make sure your pin is in for the tensioner. It's all the way in. And now this just drops in right here. And you want to make sure there's a beveled edge on the other gear. You see it's beveled? It's beveled, has a concave. That concave goes towards the engine, just like this. See how that looks? How it sticks out? That stays that way, and the concave area goes towards the engine. You put it in there and just line it up with, you see the little flat spots here and the two flat spots on here. I'm gonna do that and show you what it looks like. Okay, I just put it in there. You see? It's better with it off. All right, it's all lined up, and you see how it just hangs in here? It's hanging around. And what you want to do is you want to get your bolt here, here, and here. And you torque them down. Okay, and those are T25s, T30s I mean. Here. And I don't want to give you the torque specs. The torque specs can vary a little bit from engine to engine. I had two engines exactly the same. The torque specs were a little bit different, so I don't want to Just in case you're working on an older model or a newer model, it may be a little bit different. Just check the specs. That's easy to do online. All right, so now we want to do the center bolt. All right, so now when you torque that center bolt down, you can't rely on the tool just like you can't rely on the tool for the top dead center. You'll bend it. It's not made for that. You have to have this tool. See? And what it does, it locks in. It locks in on these pins. You see that? Just like that, you see? And now you're just gonna tighten them down so it don't move. They give you, and this is the bolt. Okay. All right, let me just install this little tool and I'll show you. So I secured it in place, and now you get the T60, I believe. T60 torques that bolt. And now you can torque this bolt down without worrying about it moving or damaging the tool. Okay, and then I'm gonna go flip it over and start from the top. Okay, now we're right side up, and good thing about it is the oil pump gear. You see, it's right here, just hanging, but it doesn't really go anywhere, you know, because it's held in with a little, you know, the whole plastic housing. So it's right there, ready to go. And now you have the main timing chain guides. All right, same thing with the other one. This one has like a key. You put it like this. I can't do it but like that. You put it in the circles, and then you hear them click, and then they're gonna click again. They're gonna clear these little nubbies right here, and you're gonna end up with something like that. This is gonna be inside. See, it has like a little keyway. You see? And the same thing with this. All right, and you click it in, and then you move it up, and then it's gonna be secure. And then you're gonna put the gear. Now the gear, you see this? With the fatter part over here goes this way. Okay, looking at the engine, this goes this way, not this way. Okay, it goes this way. So this whole thing is going to be going in the front, and this goes this way. All right, and it's going to be wrapped around the chain, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I put this in, like I said. You see, you see that? And you make sure that this part, once it's in this position, it doesn't come out. Make sure this piece doesn't pop out on both sides. See, it's in there nice and tight because of the little grooves in there that's holding it in. And it doesn't go much, it doesn't go more than this because of the little stoppers right there. Okay, now I'm gonna put the chain and put the gear. And what you do over here, to get the chain in here, you just pry this up a little bit. Just enough that you can slide the chain until it gets back over there like that. All right? So now if you're looking at this, the front of the engine, the thicker part goes towards the engine, so it'll be like this. All right? Like that. And then this, it clips in. You see these 4 little protruding nubbies or whatever you call them? They go in these right here. This clicks right in here. You just spread it open a little bit and you put that in. So basically that's what it looks like, how it's supposed to be before you install it. And then you're gonna have the tensioner. That's gonna go here, screw it into the side. And you got your cam gears here. And 1, 2, and 3 That's these locations right here. 1, 2, and 3. That's where you're going to put the pins to hold the guides in. These are the pins. And these are the plugs. All right, let's snake it in and take it from there. Okay, so basically you just drop it in. See, right now it's just hanging. I just put these screws temporarily to hold it up over here. Okay, and if you look in the hole, it's all the way down here. And that's okay because you have to put the cams on. Okay, and it's going to pull everything up. You have to put your pins in over here. But before we do that, we want to lock the cams. Now, everybody's talking about the tool, how to lock the cam, but you can lock the cams at bottom dead center, and that'll be bad. What you want to do, especially if you have no cams as reference, a lot of places, a lot of people saying, oh, you know, the cams have to be pointed this way. Yeah, what happens if the cams are off? So, you know, you don't go by that. You have to know what you're doing, okay? So, what I mean by that is I don't need no cam marks to go reference. All you have to do is make sure the first number 1 cylinder is always closest to the engine. All right, the front of the engine, that's the number 1 cylinder, has to be at top dead center. With the crank, that's easy. It only goes one way. But the cams could be at bottom dead center, and you get that tool will still fit on there. All right, so how do you know the top dead center on a compression stroke, not exhaust stroke? You see the lobes? Okay, you see the lobes? They're up. If they're up, that means all the valves are closed. It's getting ready for compression. All right, you see this? These lobes right here. Yeah, better position over here. You see how they're long? They're up, facing this way. Okay. That means that the valves and the lifters could actually move it. There's no pressure on them. That means they're closed. These are not putting pressure on them, and we know it's not on the exhaust stroke because one of them would be down, would have a lot of pressure on it, and the lobes wouldn't be up. Okay? So, now, what does that mean? Now you put the tool on. It's going to go in here. There's going to be 2 flat spots on both sides, and you can hold it here with a wrench. See, it's made for that. To turn it a little bit to slide the tool in, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I installed it. Now, there's another way you can do it. You can install the bar first and then slip the, take these screws out and slip this in, holding it with a wrench. I got a wrench right here. What did I use? I think it's a 7/8. Goes right in there. If it's good enough to turn it. Why? It slides in over here. It slides into the groove over there. And again, you see how the cams are up? The lobes are up. All right? From the front of the engine. Okay? They're pointing to the right. The intakes, lobes. You see this? Sorry. Okay, this way, like that. They're also pointing to the right. That's how you know you're at top dead center. And also, if you look in here, you could actually move them a little bit because there's no pressure on them. See? It means all the valves on both sides, intake and exhaust, are closed. That's how you want it. That's how you line it up. Then, when you put the cams on and the VANOS gears, then you set them up with another tool. But you don't rely on them unless you were taking it apart first and knew where they were, just for top dead center reference. But again, it doesn't really matter because there's no keyway, so it doesn't. You don't mark nothing, so you just take them off. It doesn't matter. It matters that you know what you're doing when you put it back on. You know your top dead center when your lobes are up on both sides. That's all you care about. You know your number 1 is at top dead center. Okay, so now I'm going to put the gears on. Everything is loose, everything jiggles around. I'm going to put the gears on now. I put the gears on. All I did was just, put them on and put the nuts in the middle. Put the VANOS back on there. Everything is loose. See, no pins yet. I mean, look over here. She already moved up a little bit. All right. Now we're gonna put the pins that hold the rails. These three. Okay. Oh, sorry. And then we'll just take it from there. Now, once you get the chain on the top, like I told you, and you put the crank piece over here in place. This is not tight. Okay. And you look underneath. This is still locked in place. All right. Now the chain, everything is loose. See? This whole thing spins. All right. So now, what you got to do is the VANOS over here has holes. These have to line up with another tool. This tool. All right, it has the fixed spots exactly where it has to go. This goes here. And that hole and that hole has, dowel has to fit in this hole and then this one. Now, then you make sure all your bolts are tight on the tool. There. Okay. All these tight. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Okay. Now, I tightened these. There's only two I tightened because this is, just a plastic piece over there. I put the dowels in. The pins, I mean. See? That's one in there. I didn't put the plug yet. And the same thing with the ones down there. 1 and 1. All right. And like I said, everything still moves. But we got a lot of slack. So now you need another tool. This is going to basically go where the yeah. Okay. The timing chain where the timing chain tensioner goes. Okay, and the reason why you use this and not the tensioner right now is because you want to take all the slack out of the chain, and when you go to tighten it, you don't want it to move. So if you tightened it, let's say if you use this and you tighten it, right, it can move a little bit, you see, because it's designed to move. There's no oil in here yet. Now this thing doesn't move. Okay, you have to take the turbo valve out of there. That's over here because it's in the way if you don't already have it out. And let's back this out. And then you screw it in. You back it out and screw it in. You just want it all the way seated. Nice. And now you can screw it in and take off all the slack. So now it's nice and tight. You don't do it too, just finger tight. See? Now it'll be loose again. See? And just finger tight. Nice. See? Now it's tight. All the way around. Okay. Now, you're all set. You have your VANOS with the tool. You have your cams locked with that tool. That takes care of the cams. Okay. Now you have the crank lock pin in here. Okay. That takes care of the top dead center on the crank. And now what you can do is you tighten the bolts on the VANOS. You torque them. I got to get the specs on that. I'll give you the specs on that. Like I said, every engine is different, but I'll give you the specs on those. Okay? And then that bottom bolt has to get torqued. It's in Newton meters. I'll put it into foot-pounds for you, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so before you tighten the bolt down here, release the pin on the oil pump tensioner right there. I took the pin out. Make sure there's tension on the chain. Okay, there's tension on the chain. Make sure that's tension there. Okay. Everything is still loose. You double check everything. See, it still turns. I gotta do it. Sometimes the bolts, they tighten up a little bit. But everything does turn. See? Nice and smooth. Everything's turning. Okay? So, now, what you're going to do, after you release the oil pump tensioner, now you got tension there. On this one, you seat it in. Okay, and you put it, it's supposed to be 5 inch-pounds, but I don't have one that's that accurate at that low torque. So what you do is do it as tight as you can do it by hand. You know, you want it nice and tight. That's about 5. I mean, 5 is hardly anything. Okay, and this is nice and tight. The reason you want that, because you want it tight, you want it to act like it's a fixed chain that doesn't have any slack. So all your lines, and when you tighten everything, all your everything is in sync the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so you tighten the center bolts of the VANOS, 40 pounds, foot-pounds, each one, and then you got to turn them another additional 55 degrees. So what you do, you're probably not going to have an angle torque wrench. So this will be 90, okay? This will be 45, so 55, something like that, okay? So after you torque them 40 and 40, you do an additional 55 degrees on each one. Okay, once you have these down torqued, then you go to the crank bolt and you give it 74 pounds of torque. It's in Newton meters, but I'm doing inch pound. Everybody knows inch pounds. So that's approximately 74 pounds of torque first. And then after that, you have to do an angle of 270 degrees. Okay? That's almost three quarters of the way around. Okay, what you probably do is mark it, then mark another mark 3/4 of the way, and you would turn it. On the stand right now, I can't do that because that's a lot of pressure. So I'm going to put it to 90. I'm going to put it to the 75, and then in the car when I put the flywheel lock, then I can do the rest of it before I button up the whole engine. All right. Okay. So once you got the bottom bolt tightened, your top cam bolts are tightened. Okay. The special tool is still in here, hand tight, as much as you can tighten it by hand. That's still in there. Okay. The oil pump tensioner is released, has pressure on the chain, and you still have your counterbalance lock in there. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take the special tool out over here and install the tensioner. And then after that, you're going to take everything off. All the locks, all the tools, and you're going to spin the engine clockwise 2 revolutions, and see if all the tools line up again. They all pop into place. They're supposed to all pop into place. If they do, you're in time, and you timed your engine. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do now. Okay, I turned it one whole revolution, and checked everything else. This top bar, it slides in tight, but it goes in good. And then you have this one. What you do, you make sure it goes in the way it was, nice and tight. Okay, pin is in the crank. Right. Top dead center, and the pin is still in here. I mean, not still in, I just put it back in to make sure the counterbalance is, everything is in time and everything is set. Okay, so don't forget to take that out, and don't forget to take your top dead center crank pin out. Okay, and that's how you align the N20 BMW engine. All right, guys, Motor Car Nut, please subscribe, hit the like button. Any questions, just let me know if I missed something or want something clarified. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate it. Thank you.